Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the ADK channel. We're here at Club 85 in Hitchin. Just a big thank you to the team here for allowing us to use the premises. Today we're back. We are visiting Nightwish. We recently just did the Tarja era, Wish I Had an Angel, which was a great track. And of course we need to move on to the next era, which was an Annette Olsen era. We're doing the second album, I believe, that came from her. So we had Dark Passion Play, which I believe was the first one that she was on. Now, I could be wrong with this, and I usually am, but just in case, I believe this is a Imaginarium album. We're going to be checking out a song called Storytime. I think it's a really interesting track to check out, so let's go check it out, and we'll share our thoughts and feelings at the end. Let's go.
She reminds me of Björk. She looks a bit like Björk. I sense there's a bass trombone coming at some point. I love the sound of that on the album.
Okay, so there we go. That was Nightwish and Storytime. Kicking over to Andy then first for your feedback on that track.
Okay, it's a typical Nightwish song, really, isn't it? I mean, the sort of only discerning feature from the one that we watched recently was the vocalist. Now, Dave, you're the fan. I don't know this lady. What was her previous involvement in the metal scene? Where did she come from? How did she get involved? Just a bit of context.
If I say anything, you know I'm going to get this wrong. So I will get this wrong.
You're going to be more accurate than me because I've no idea.
I can't remember the exact reason why she was brought into the band, but my understanding was, so when they were looking for a new vocalist, they didn't want to try to replace Tarja. So they specifically went down a route of a vocalist that was a different style. I think with Annette, you get more of a pop rock vocalist, you don't get the operatic style. And interestingly, if you watch the live performance from the Annette era, where you see like songs like Everdream, which is a really powerful Tarja era, like big operatic styles, big range, she actually has to pitch change it, so she has to sing it in a slightly different way to make it work with her voice. And it's just one of those ones that Annette struggled a little bit more on the live performance to deliver the Target era. But when you listen to the songs that were written on Dark Passion Play and Imaginarium, they felt that they were more written towards her vocal style, which I thought was really good. We did get a message or a mention about, I said something on the last video about Annette's the dark era, and actually a lot of people like it. And actually, it's my favourite era of music that came from them. It's one of my favourite styles. I liked what they did on the albums. Wasn't a big fan of the live performance stuff, but they actually said it was due to pregnancy that she left, and Floor came in to support and cover and then made a permanent member. I don't think that was truly the case. I think it was down to, I've read things about fatigue and that they had to cancel several shows because her voice was burnt out because she struggled to hit certain points. Again, Nightwish fans, let us know in the comments. It's always great to have that feedback, but I didn't know anything about this pregnancy reason for her leaving. I don't believe that was true. I think that someone's just put that one in there. But yeah, I think it was for a slightly different directional style they wanted to. But musically, it sounds kind of a continuation of where they were.
I mean, for what you just said, I mean that encapsulates her vocal style. You know, pop, not operatic, because she's no Tarja, is she? I mean, I agree with you as well. As a Nightwish song, that is really powerful. So it's a good song musically, but we were talking off camera. You know, following the last sort of Nightwish video, I've actually sort of downloaded a playlist and had a sort of few tracks from all the vocalists. I mean, I'm a big Tarja fan. Don't know much of Floor. Don't know anything of Annette, and you can instantly tell. Well, this song comes from this vocalist. You know, they're very distinctive, but she's nowhere near on par, I don't think. And you know, the dark days of the band, you know, it sounds like they've dumbed down the whole ethos just to fit her in for whatever reason she's in there. You know, she had to change the way she delivers the Tarja era songs. These have been written in a certain style to fit her vocals. You know, if I was a massive Nightwish fan, I think I'd probably be disappointed by this particular sort of time in their career. But anyway, so the song was great from a musical point of view. The video was strange for me because you could see what they were doing. Yeah. You know, there's the circus and the performance and clowns and people flying about, but 50% at least was behind the scenes footage. It's almost as if the final cut of the video was rubbish or not long enough or good enough. Let's pad it out with all the tomfoolery behind the camera kind of thing.
I'll try and answer that in a minute.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if that was perhaps part of a bigger piece. I don't know. As you say, you might be able to fill in the gaps, Dave. But one final point, I think this is sort of indicative of many Nightwish songs. The guitars are buried by the keyboards when they're being played. Apart from like the chorus where the keyboards disappear, and you know the guitars aren't the driver behind the songs or the music. They're sort of almost rhythmic. But I'd just like to hear a little bit more of them, a bit more sort of, you know, the riffs, as it were. But, you know, that's Nightwish sound, isn't it? You know, the keyboards driving the songs.
Okay, fair enough. I think as far as I'm going to go in reverse order on your comments, I actually thought the balance of guitars was fine. But I do agree that it is, with his style of playing, it is more around just driving the rhythm with the bass and the drums. It's less about riffage and more about chugging. He's very, very big around his chug. Now, if I'm trying to remember Imaginarium, I believe Imaginarium was more of a concept as far as an album. The whole album was meant to be like this big story concept from start to finish with all the different songs, rather than being a collection of different tracks that you could pick and leave. The whole thing was meant to link together. So I think the idea with the Storytime video was it had a story underlying, but they wanted to show partially the behind the scenes as well, rather than just put it. I can't remember the reason why they did it that way. There was a particular reason. I'm not sure if that's because it ties into some other. There was a plan to do some more videos on it.
Doesn't it also show harmony within the band? You get to see them outside the makeup, where they're being rock stars in front of a camera, and I like to see that. You said tomfoolery, didn't you? Which to me is a good thing, and you can see them having fun, can't you, on the set? And probably it was a case of, look, we've integrated this new member into the band. We want to show the dynamic that's here. It's positive.
Yeah, I don't mind seeing that on music videos. It just seemed to be, as I say, at least 50% of it was that kind of scenes, rather than the story or the imagery of the circus and the clowns and
it was
the
trying
acrobats.
to work out what was the story. That was the question. When I've watched this before, this video, I'm like, okay, she's biting into the apple, so I'm thinking of the evil queen. I'm thinking there's
Snow White.
There's Snow White element in there. There's
the biblical.
So then there's some guy in a car who's got some. I was like, I couldn't work out what the actual story is. So maybe it's just about a whole collection of different stories. It's a real
Garden of Eden.
It messes with your head trying to break the video down. So you could read. There's bound to be a synopsis somewhere on the internet tells you exactly what this video is about. But if you have to do that, then the video's kind of failed in its job. You should be able to work out what the video's about by just watching it.
Yeah, there should.
But I enjoyed it because I liked that look. I liked what was going on, but it didn't help me with any understanding of what the story was.
Yeah, I mean, I always sense a bit of frustration with you that if you can't work out what the story is, it almost puts you off. To me, surely there's deliberate ambivalence in there so that it can have multiple interpretations. I think you called it right, where the main symbol there is the apple, isn't it? The most famous example is the serpent in the Garden of Eden. I'll give my thoughts on it musically. In the last video, I said the riffs, excellent production, and they sound like James Hetfield playing a middle 8 riff on the Black Album. And the same thing here. Do you know that song Holier Than Thou from the Black Album? Dun, 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 dun. That same kind of tempo, and he's doing that throughout. Slightly, it's more down-tuned. I don't think the guitars were buried in the mix, and I had the headphones on, and I was quite impressed. And whenever I hear Nightwish, I always think, why does Therion no longer sound like this? We're talking about the band that invented symphonic metal, Therion, this great Swedish band, and they're mediocre now. And Nightwish really, I wouldn't say stole their crown. We don't need to look at music as a competition, but they certainly took those ideas and really enhanced them even further. The vocalist, she had that Björk pixie look from the early 90s. I love Björk, so that's always a good thing. Yeah, you're right. A bit more poppy, weren't they, the vocals here? The chorus, I already know it. It's in my head. They repeated it enough times towards the end. Probably as far as the elastic can stretch, if they did it one more time, or done the ultimate cliche of just done an octave uplift, then I would have been like, okay, press stop. Keyboards, excellent. Yeah, you're right. That drives the music. And at one point, it even threatened to go in a really dark triptych type direction with bass trombones and oboes. And I love that Wagnerian classical element. Really dark, really heavy. But it didn't, did it? Because they didn't really want to go down that rabbit hole. Good tempo to it. And one more thing. Yeah, Andy, you're right. It wasn't too dissimilar to the other song we reacted to. What was that one called?
Wish I Had an Angel.
Wish I Had an Angel. Yeah, it was very similar to that, wasn't it? Tempo, rhythm, dynamics.
I think I specifically picked it in that sense to try to. I wanted to give us a comparison, so I didn't want to go and pick something that was completely like. There's a song called The Islander. That would be a completely unfair because then you'd be comparing Target Area with something that's a completely different vibe.
Yeah.
Or if we did this one and we did like My Lips Are Still Red or something like that from the Target Area, they're a completely different vibe to the track. So when we look at Floor, I've picked a similar vibe style track. They may not exactly the same riffs, but a similar vibe so that we get an idea of how, for me, it's how the band has adjusted with each vocalist. What have they changed? Have they changed significantly? Have they kept the same vibe? And have they just incorporated the new vocalist in with their own style? They have. I mean, they've musically been able to keep the same style and just changed how the vocal melodies work, or how instead of singing it up in high, because would Tarja be able to perform Storytime? Because it's not really her natural singing style either. be interesting. I think she would have to change it up into a completely different vibe to it. But that's what the great thing is each time a different singer comes in, they'll be able to do it a different way.
Yeah, by the way, one thing, when we say poppy, we don't mean that in a reductive way as if it's bubblegum pop. There's nothing wrong with intelligent pop music or melody in a chorus, and they get it right there, don't they? I don't think there's anything shallow or throwaway or a novelty there. They're good songwriters, aren't they? I'll say it one more time, though. I fear that if I listen to an album after 4 songs, I'll know what to expect and start to switch off. And you're going to say that probably won't happen.
No, I can understand that, Kirk. I mean, there's not a huge variation in the Nightwish material, unless fans are going to correct me on that one, because I've only had a certain selection of songs I've heard, but the ones I have are all, like I said at the beginning, this is typical Nightwish. So they've got a sound, they've got a style of songwriting, they've got a style, a certain style of producing a track. I'm sure there are variations. I think I've heard a couple, and Dave's mentioned that he selected them to sound similar, so we can compare the vocalists. But
bite my tongue.
Come on, you need to come back to that. Andy, apparently they do sound a lot different.
No, they don't.
Oh, okay.
But nor does doom metal, and nor does death metal.
True.
So, we've done reviews of doom metal, and every single song on the bloody album sounds the same, and you love it, and you can listen to a whole album of it. So,
yeah, well, I didn't say it was a bad thing. Kirk was when he said he might get
it is a bad thing
distracted by 4 or 5 songs more of an album.
I think the problem is if you really like that style of music, then you will really appreciate it. Now, a good example of it is I think it's actually on Dark Passion Play, is The Islander. Now, The Islander is a completely different vibe of a track. But what I think when we've done album reviews, we find that there's usually 3 or 4 songs that sound the same, and they'll give you a random song halfway through that feels completely different, and then go back to more of the same to break the album up. I think that in every genre that we come across, whether it's thrash, whether it's punk pop, whatever it might be, all the band does the same. Hatebreed. Every song by Hatebreed sounds exactly the bloody same. I couldn't tell you, apart from, what was it? Actually, I couldn't tell you. Every song by Hatebreed sounds exactly the same, but everyone loves Hatebreed because you're getting what you expect.
Well, Slayer are the ultimate example, aren't they?
Every Slayer song.
You know what it's
every Slayer song sounds the same.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we've touched on it on the Obituary reviews.
Yeah, it did sound a lot.
Any Obituary song could come off any Obituary album. Same with Bolt Thrower. I just think sometimes, if it's not a style that you're absolutely in love with, you do need something to break it up. If you're trying to do an objective review or you're trying to get into that style or that particular band, you may well, as you said, your words, Kirk, get distracted and maybe not be able to finish an album in one sitting. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Dave. A lot of doom, death does sound the same. If you're not
every time I do an album review, I'm like, bloody hell, haven't we reviewed this doom album already?
Yeah. One thing that we do need to dispel, though, Napalm Death, you put one of their modern albums on, and they do offer variation, surprisingly.
Yeah, for about 4 minutes. That's about the length of the album.
So there are certain bands that, as they've evolved, have really gone towards experimentation. They're a good example of that.
We've kind of gone off track now.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyway, that was Nightwish and Storytime. Now, if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care.